Yes. So our props that we'll need today are 2 yoga blocks, a massage ball, tennis ball type situation, and then we'll let an extra padding for underneath the knees. And I think we can get started. Yeah. All right. So welcome. It is week 6. We're almost there. This is exciting. We're rounding out our sun salutation sequence. So this will be kind of the last pose that we'll be breaking down. And then next week, we'll be kind of putting it all together and really reviewing those modifications and reviewing all the postures that we've gone over. But just expect that week before we try for those 108 sun salutations, we're going to be just breaking everything down in terms of a review and going over everything so that we really feel ready for that next week in terms of, all right, I know what my options are. I feel good about where I need to watch out for compensating in certain postures and things like that. So, and please, again, this week and next week, especially next week, ask questions and be vocal about what's needed in your practice to make this suit your body the best, because that's what really is important going into this sun salutation sequence, when it's a lot in the whole sequence, but it is a really great sequence to know. So if we can modify it to work for your body so that we can build that foundation to maybe work up to that ideal sun salutation, or just know that you found your sun salutation that is your practice, that is your sun salutation that works for you, because that's okay too. It doesn't have to look like everyone else's, and know that that's okay. That's what yoga is really about, is finding your practice. Everyone's going to be different, and so know that it's okay if your practice looks different. So with that being said, we're at week 6, and it is going to be downward facing dog, our Adho Mukha Svanasana. And so I'm just throwing out the Sanskrit names each week so we can just hear those, because sometimes you walk into a yoga class and the teacher is only using the Sanskrit names, and you're like, I don't know, you've only heard the warrior 2, downward facing dog. And so just to start getting familiarized with, oh, I've heard that before. And then maybe you'll start to pick on and link. And it's just, again, spreading your knowledge about the practice, because Sanskrit, those are the traditional names that come with this traditional practice. So it is just paying homage to that tradition and this ancient practice. So, but don't think you have to memorize them or anything. This is just me wanting to share that wisdom and share that knowledge with you. So for today, like I said, we are going to be doing our downward facing dog. And then with that, our 2 core exercises are really going to be focused on downward facing dog. Like we'll be using our downward facing dog and kind of variations of it. And also exercises to work on the core from your downward facing dog. So you'll notice that you can incorporate them throughout your, like during a practice, in your own practice, if you feel like you want to add a little extra work into your downward dog. Or again, utilize this at home if you just want to work on your downward dog, but also work on some core. So, and then for our like chaturanga option, we'll be just reviewing that full chaturanga option or the modification that works best for you. And so as I cue that full one, I'll also just cue that modification of dropping our knees or coming down onto the forearms, if that's what you want to do for the forearm plank. But then I also want to just show you 2 options that I tried them last night, and they might not look the prettiest because they are going to be more challenging, but so don't think you have to try them necessarily today at all. But it's just 2 options to know that if you ever want to go for them to challenge your practice, take it extra little step further when you're ready, you have that space to do so and to grow. And also for those that may be watching online later, I just want to offer that option if that's in their practice. So again, just giving those varieties, those variations for hopefully anyone here, wherever your practice is at. So that's kind of where we're going. And so we can go ahead and get started. But quickly, I want to say, as always, this is your practice. So whatever that means, again, taking modifications, taking variations that work best for your body, even if it's not what I'm cueing specifically, or if you just want to take a seat and watch what I'm cueing because you know it's not the modification that works best for you, please don't overdo it. we need to listen to our bodies because that's the most important part throughout our practice. So let's get started here in an easy seat. So you can go ahead and find yourself on your hips with your feet crisscrossed, and then go ahead and rock a little right and left to make sure you have flat sit bones on the mat, or maybe you take that extra padding. You can place that underneath the hips for a little extra lift, or even you can take a block and place that underneath the hips, and that gives a nice lift and space there. Now, once we're in our easy seat here, let's go ahead and rest our hands onto the knees, start to reach the crown of the head tall to the sky, and then relax the shoulders away from the ears. Start to close your eyes. And just take a moment here at the start of our practice today to notice where you're at, to come into some stillness. To let go of any thoughts that we may be holding on to, any tensions from the previous day. If it helps here on your next exhale, just let the air out, deplete the lungs, and imagine that tension releasing with it. Let's inhale here through the nose, breathing in, feel the ribs expand, lungs fill, and then exhale again, just let it all go. Find one more big cleansing breath together. Big inhale, breathing in, lungs fill. Sip a little more at the top, and then exhale, just release and let it go. Bring one hand to your heart and one hand to the belly button when you're ready here. So we start to seal up your lips, bringing in the inhale through the nose, and then as you exhale, strong and purposeful back through the nose. Let's find a balanced breathing here as we inhale through the nose. 1, 2, 3, 4, and exhale through the nose. 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Continuing this breath here on your own for a few more rounds to establish a rhythm for your practice, a rhythm to guide you through these postures today. And maybe as you settle into this rhythm, choose an intention to go along with this. It could be a word or phrase to serve as a mantra, a type of bridge between mind and body to carry through your practice. Maybe it's embodying a feeling like gratitude, strength, compassion, or simply being open to receive through your practice today, whatever that is. As we inhale, finding our intention here, whatever it is, breathe it in and honor it before it's even shown up. And then exhale, release any expectations surrounding how it may play out for you today. One more breath here, sealing this in, big inhale. And then exhale, let it go. May this yoga practice open and strengthen your mind and heart. May this yoga practice open and strengthen your mind and heart. Let's go ahead and release the hands back into the lap. Keeping your eyes closed here for just a moment longer as we start to drop the chin forward towards the chest. Big stretch down the back side of the neck. Pausing here. Continuing to find that balanced breath. And then when you're ready, let's take our right ear to right shoulder. Let your head hang heavy towards the right. Pause here. Big stretch down the left side. And then let's drop that head back. Big stretch down the front side of the neck. Maybe even drape the jaw slightly open. Let our left ear drop towards the left shoulder, letting that head hang heavy. Big stretch down the right side. And then let your chin drop back forward towards the chest. And then when you're ready, no rush here, continue around 2 more times. Slow, controlled circles to the left, or excuse me, to the right. Going at a speed that feels good for your neck. And once you finish that second circle, no rush here, we'll meet with our chin back to center, pause, let the head hang heavy. And then taking our left ear to left shoulder, switching our directions, let your head hang heavy to the left and pause. So take our head back, letting that head hang heavy, big stretch on the front side of the neck, maybe even drape the jaw slightly open. And then let's take our right ear to right shoulder, let the stretch happen down the left side, head hangs heavy. And then we'll take our chin back forward. And when you're ready, continue to the left 2 more times. Big circles into the neck. This feels good for you. And then if you haven't done so already, start to flutter open your eyes on that second set, bringing your awareness into the room. And then we'll find our way back to center, no rush here. Bringing your head to stack on top of the shoulders, gaze forward, shoulders down and back. Nice job. All right, let's inhale, circle sweep, hands reach up high. We exhale, drop your right hand by your right hip, left fingertips reach high, and then lean over towards the right. So finding a stretch, the side body here, gaze can be up towards the ceiling or maybe down towards the floor. Just try to stack those shoulders. So try not to hunch over towards the mat with your left shoulder as we find length through the fingertips. Exhale, stretch. We'll inhale, bring both hands up high, reach high. Exhale, palms to heart center. Drop your right hand across the body here to the left knee. Inhale, left hand reaches high, and then twist it back behind you. As you drop it down to the floor, finding a twist into the torso, lengthen up through the spine on your inhale. Exhale, find your twist. Maybe your gaze follows over the left shoulder. One more breath, big inhale. Exhale, twist. Then we'll inhale, gently release, bring those hands up towards the sky, reach up. So we exhale, left hand drops down by the left hip, reach to the right fingertips, and then lean over towards the left. So stretching through the right side this time. Notice if we're hunching towards the mouth, the right shoulder, stack it open over that left. Gaze goes up towards the ceiling, maybe to help that. Or if it's more comfortable, gaze can go towards the mat. Find one more breath, big inhale. Exhale, lean. We'll inhale, both hands reach up high. So we exhale, palms to heart center. Left hand releases down to the right knee. Right hand reaches high. Exhale, twist it back behind you, and then drop your right hand down to the mat. Find your length on your inhale through the spine, reach up to the sky, and then exhale, twist. Gaze over your right shoulder. Find your ring and rinse into the torso. One more breath. Next inhale, we'll gently release that. Both hands reach up high. So we exhale, palms to heart center. We'll go ahead and release out our legs and come into a tabletop. So shifting onto the hands and knees here, this might be a great place to place that padding underneath the knees. We're going to plant our palms firmly underneath our shoulders. If we feel we want to pop up onto our wrists, if that helps and is better onto the wrist, if we're having wrist issues, or we can always fold our yoga mat over and place the pads of the palms onto our yoga mat. So that's giving a little extra support there. So wherever you're at, stack your shoulders over the wrists. We'll spread through those fingertips. If you have your palms onto the mat, really press out those wrists around the shoulders away from the ears. So to help do that, try to turn those elbow pits in towards each other. And then notice if you're arching into the back and sinking the shoulders into the armpits. Let's try to press into those palms, pull the pelvis tucking slightly forward as we suck the belly button towards the spine. Gaze between the thumbs. Our knees are hip width distance. So strong tabletop here, finding a big inhale, holding strong into the core. And as you exhale, keeping strong into the core. So the way we do that is just pull that belly button towards the spine as you inhale. Find an exhale. Beautiful. And then from here, our next inhale, drop the belly button to the mat. We arch into the back, pull your chest through, gaze goes up. Exhale, round the chin in towards the chest, pressing into the palms as we round to the shoulders and back. Finding a full cat-cow. Inhale, pull the chest through, gaze goes up. Exhale, round, tuck the chin in towards the chest, round the shoulders and back. One more time through. Inhale, pull the chest through, gaze goes up, let that belly drop towards the mat. Exhale, round, pressing into the palms to round to the shoulders and back, pull that chin in towards the chest. We'll inhale, find your tabletop here. So before we get into this first core exercise, I want to show you what this looks like. So if you want to sit back onto your heels, you can do that for this quick demonstration. So this next one is what I like to call, or what I've been told in yoga and my yoga classes and as a teacher, well, I would say in my teacher training, we kind of dubbed it. This is a turbo dog. And so we're going to curl under our toes for our tabletop, press into the palms, really find that strength so that we're rounding the shoulders away from the ears. And again, not dumping into our armpits there. We're going to lift the knees off the mat just slightly. So finding our shins somewhat parallel there. And the idea is that you're still kind of in this tabletop, but we're finding those knees lifted. That's going to engage more into the core here. If that feels too much for the wrist, then don't worry about lifting those knees and just find a strong core. And you're still getting your core work here by keeping that core activated and holding that strong tabletop. So we've got two options there in terms of our core work. If you want to try your turbo dog, that's where we're going. But feel free to hold that strong tabletop if that's a better option for you. So we'll find our tabletop here. Again, notice if we're sinking those shoulders into the armpits, press into the palms, pull those elbow pits towards each other so we can find our shoulders away from the ears. Our knees are hip width distance. We'll curl under those toes, suck the belly button towards the spine, strong core, gaze between the thumbs, and then find an exhale. On your inhale, press into the toes. See if you can lift those knees off the mat, finding your shins parallel. So strong, guys. Holding 3. Keeping your breath here, last 2. Last 1, let's drop the knees down. Keep your knees where you're at. Let's bring the tops of the feet flat and then just walk your hands forward. As you let your chest start to drop towards the mat, keep the hips high, let your head relax down. So we're finding a melting heart or puppy dog pose. So we're pressing into the palms, letting the chest relax and sink down to the mat, but keeping our hips high above our knees. So finding a breath here. Turn the mic up a little bit. We're gonna find 2 more sets of that turbo dog, just holding a little bit longer each time. So when you're ready here, start to gently lift your chest back up and walk those hands back in. We'll find ourselves hands stacked underneath our shoulders, knees hip width distance. Check in here, gaze between the thumbs, slightly tuck that pelvis forward so your belly button sucks in towards the spine, strong core. We don't want to round into the back though when we do that. So be careful when you suck the belly in and we tuck that pelvis forward, we're not finding a round into the back. We still want to keep our spine nice and straight. When you're ready, curl under the toes, exhale, air out, and then inhale, press into the palms, start to lift those knees, shins parallel to the mat, turbo dog. Strong hold here, find a big inhale. Exhale, hold strong. Beautiful work, guys. Big inhale. Exhale. And then slowly lower the knees down. We'll uncurl the toes, tops of the feet flat. Start to walk your hands forward. Finding your puppy dog or melting heart. 2 different names for that one there. So keeping your hips high above the knees. We're just allowing our hands to go forward and then pressing our chest, letting it sink down towards the mat. Yeah. One more breath here, big inhale. And exhale. Gently making your way, maybe onto the elbows first. So you can press into the palms, walk those hands back. Last set here of our turbo dog, working into the core. So find your palms underneath your shoulders. Again, take the sinking out of the shoulders by bringing those elbow pits towards each other. round the shoulders away from the ears. Strong into the core, flat back. We're gonna curl under your toes. Exhale all your air out. Next inhale, lift the shins parallel to the mat. So lift those knees up. Strong hold here, longest, strongest yet. So notice where we're at into our back. Are we rounding too much into the shoulders? That's where we wanna lower the hips slightly. There we go, nice job guys. Hold 3, 2, big inhale. Exhale, hold. And then slowly drop those knees down. Uncurl those toes. This time we're gonna stay in our tabletop so that we can kick our right leg out to the side, toes forward, heel out. And then from here, just go ahead and set those hips back, arms stay long, let your head and chest relax. So it's a big stretch into kind of that inner thigh, inner hip there. So only sit back as far as you feel. You can even take a block and kind of hold that out in front of you, or maybe place it underneath the chest. And let's go ahead and inhale, lift ourselves on up. Bend into that knee, release it back into your tabletop before maybe giving it a shake. Place it down. Find our tabletop here. We're going to kick the left leg out to the side, switch sides. So our toes are forward, heel out. And then start to sit the hips back towards the heels on your exhale. Like a child's pose almost. So we keep our arms out long in front of us, head and chest relaxed. So hopefully our core is feeling some heat. We're feeling some work into the shoulders there, which our downward dog does work into the shoulders quite a bit. Next inhale, we'll gently lift ourselves back up. Bend into that left leg so you can release it, maybe give it a shake first. And then from here, make sure you grab your blocks so you have those close by you. We're gonna stand onto the knees. Our blocks can be underneath our kind of shoulders here in front of us. Because what we're gonna do is curl under the toes, and our knees are about hip width distance here. Curl under the toes, and if you wanna first sit back into the hips onto those heels with the toes curled under, just giving your toes some love first. And again, you can use your blocks here, just kind of keep the weight not completely dumping onto those toes if it's too intense. Then what we're going to do with those toes curled under, holding onto our blocks here, is we're going to start to lift the knees. See if we can place those heels down and then lift the hips up, finding our rag doll. So then placing those blocks back underneath our shoulders. Let your head relax, chest relax. Bend the knees as much as you need. So starting to warm up here into our forward folds. So really allow your knees to bend if we're feeling tight into the low back still. Let your head relax. Arms can either relax onto your blocks, or maybe you knock those off to the side and find that you grab for your elbow pits. Or maybe let your hands dangle down to the floor. Make sure your head is nice and heavy, neck is relaxed. So shake your head out, no. Remind yourself, no to any negative thoughts that may come creeping in. And then shake your head, yes. Yes to being here on your mat. Creating a practice like this for your mind and for your body. We'll find our center here, release our hands down towards the mat as we start to walk those feet to touch. And then planting into the feet, bend into the knees, and slowly start to roll up your spine, one vertebrae at a time, stacking at a time. Arms are nice and heavy, slower than you want to go. Head left to right. Shoulders down and back. Nice job. Go ahead and step forward to the top of our mat. Find that massage ball here. And we're going to roll on our feet. So starting with standing onto that left leg, maybe you have your hands onto your hip and take that right foot onto our massage ball and start to roll back and forth. Good. Good. because he doesn't ever do it. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't doubt it. That's the thing. We don't pay attention to our, they take us everywhere and we don't pay attention to them enough. Nope. Yeah. No push, no horse. Maybe you find rolling it kind of side to side underneath the toes, like fanning those out, rolling them over them. That feels good. We lose our massage ball. That's okay. Just chase after it. If you have any sweet spots, maybe you want to just kind of hold your weight on that sweet spot. Some static pressure. Remember to breathe. Let's find about one more breath here on this right side. And then when you're ready, no rush here, we'll place that massage ball to a still spot on your mat. We'll take a moment to place both feet down. Maybe relax your arms long down beside you, just find a tall stance here. Just check in with how those feet are feeling, maybe even close your eyes to bring that present awareness to it. Notice how the right foot might feel a little more grounded after you just rolled it out, while the left foot still feels a little lifted, a little light, uprooted. And then when you're ready, you can go ahead and open your eyes and switch sides. So planting into the right foot, whether you take your hands to your hips or maybe use a wall for support here and balance, we'll start to roll out the left foot. Again, maybe finding any sweet spots where we just want to hang out and put some static pressure onto. Maybe finding rolling right and left, fanning out those toes over it. Feels good. Let's take about one more breath here on the left side. And when you're ready, no rush, you can place that ball off to a good point off to the side of your mat. And then we'll go ahead and start to find our mountain pose now that we've evened out both feet. So bringing those feet together, spreading those toes out nice and wide onto the mat, kind of fanning them out so we can really grip into with all four corners. Balls of the feet, the heels, squeeze those inner thighs together. If we notice the knees knocking together or the ankles knocking together, it's a little uncomfortable, just separate those feet slightly, totally fine. And then check in here, slightly tuck the pelvis forward as we suck the navel in towards the spine. Lift through the crown of the head so we're finding length through the spine. We have a string pulling you up through the crown of the head. And then arms come along down beside you. Just let those fingertips guide the shoulders away from your ears. Gaze forward and find a drishti out in front of you. That's focal point we can tune our gaze into. Finding some strong breaths here in our mountain pose with our hands just long down beside us, keeping our core strong to suck the navel towards the spine. Again, nice flat back, evening out that strong core. And when you're ready, let's inhale, circle sweep, hands reach high. Find length through the torso as we reach up. Exhale, palms to heart center. Let's find two more like that. Inhale, circle sweep. Really feel that length from the torso up from the hips, all over the fingertips. Exhale, palms to heart center. One more like that. Inhale, circle sweep, reach high. Exhale, palms to heart center. Start to bend slightly into the knees and hinge at the hips. Nice flat back, strong core as it guides you down, hands towards the mat. Find your forward folds. Let your hips lift high as you let your forehead drop towards the knees. Maybe you find that bend into the knees if we need it. Listen to your body. Let your head and neck relax. Finding your next inhale, bend into the knees, lift yourself halfway. Hands can either come to your blocks in front of you. Maybe they rest onto the shins. Notice here, strong core, suck the navel towards the spine. We're have a flat back. Try to pull those shoulders slightly back so we're not rounding forward. Nice job. Exhale, start to fold, hands towards the mat. Plant your hands on the mat and walk your feet back. Maybe stepping one foot at a time or walking them back. We'll meet in our plank pose. So shifting our hips forward, shoulders stack over your wrists. Spreading those fingers nice and wide so we're pressing out of the palms. Finding your variation of your plank pose, whether it's this high plank, whether you'd like to drop down to your forearms, if that's a better option for your wrists. Try to keep your hips from being too high up to the sky. So use that core to bring them back in line with your shoulders, wherever you're at, whether your knees are dropped or not. And then let's all drop our knees. Tops of the feet flat behind us as we bend into the elbows, keeping those elbows tight into the rib cage. Lower down, leading with your chin, chest, belly last as you scoop that chest through. Finding your baby cobra. So feet, tops of the feet flat. Zipper up those legs behind you. Lift the crown of the head as you peel the chest. Arms like little grasshopper wings here. Lighten the palms. Use that back strength. Exhale, relax the chin down. We'll inhale this time, press into the palms. And if you'd like to come up into your upward facing dog, lift the chest, lift those thighs off the mat. We're squeezing into those thighs. Try to keep the glutes relaxed, tops of the feet press. And then wherever you're at, roll over those toes, either press back into your child's pose or press your hips high, and we'll meet in our downward facing dog. Nice job, guys. So this is the pose we are going to be focusing on today, downward facing dog. So just take note here of how you feel in this V shape, pressing your hips up to the sky. Our feet can be about hip width distance if that feels good here. Excuse me. Our head is going to hang relaxed, nice and heavy towards the mat. As you press into the palms and press your chest towards your thighs, and that's going to get your hips high to the sky. The knees can bend as much as they need here. Take a moment, bend one knee and then the other. Just walk your dog out, get some movement into this. And then gently, let's drop those knees down. And then take a seat onto your hips. I'm gonna kind of break down those cautions that we're gonna be watching out for in our downward dog while you guys just watch. I don't want you to be holding that downward dog and having to kind of crank your neck forward or anything like that, or be completely wiping yourselves out trying to listen to me and hold downward dog, because this is a hard posture. It's not gonna be easy right off the bat, and it's gonna be a lot into the shoulders. And so know that if this is not quote unquote a resting posture, like some yoga teachers call it, like, oh, downward dog, nice resting posture. That's okay. It's not supposed to feel like a resting posture right off the bat. Eventually, when you do the sun salutation, you're doing all this work, and then all of a sudden, that's when it becomes a resting posture. And that's when that's going to come with time of building that foundation to where you feel comfortable, to where it'll kind of just click. It's like, it's not going to come with time, because it's going to take that time of building up that foundation. You feel strong to all of a sudden you're pushing back, and that's all of a sudden a really nice release onto the shoulders after you've been doing your chaturanga, after you've been doing your plank. But again, it's not going to come with overnight, and if it never comes, that's okay. Not everyone's going to love downward dog, and that's the thing. Every practice is different, like I've stated. So even though teachers say in class, and you might hear a lot, downward dog, resting posture, if it's not a resting posture for you, then don't like freak out and be like, what's wrong with me? Why can't I get comfortable in downward dog? It just might be one of those where you got to work through it. There are postures in yoga where you might not always like them, but they are great for the body. And you kind of have to find that balance of, okay, I don't necessarily like this pose, but I'm going to find the modification that works for me, that I can, find the comfort and the discomfort, like I've said a lot in my classes. So with all of that being said, downward dog is a great warm-up. So like I said, it's not an easy posture. So this is a great posture to just do to warm up before practice. if you're here early and you wanted to start to get to some heat in the body, just pop up in a downward dog. And after a few breaths in that, you're going to start to feel that heat. And it also is a posture that can relieve stress and headaches, because it's kind of that inversion concept of you have your head lower than your heart and lower than most of your body. And so you're getting that relief from gravity just constantly pressing down on us from the head down to the toes, right? So in our downward dog, what we want to do, and we mostly will either come into it, you know, from a plank pose, pressing back, or from our tabletop, pressing back. So the idea is we want our fingers spread out nice and wide as a base. So that concept of pressing down into the fingers and again, rolling those shoulders away from the ears. So those elbow pits are going to kind of turn towards you. That's the same concept you want to have here. So we don't want to be doing this and kind of dumping our shoulders back into the armpits. That's a lot onto my shoulders. I can already feel it. So when I pull those elbows in and I have those elbows nice and wide, I feel more strength up in my base in the front here to then press and stretch into the shoulders versus this dumping. That motion is dumping your weight onto the shoulders, and you're not really, it's like you're not supporting the shoulders. And I can feel it when I go into it compared to when I activate and kind of roll those shoulders out. It's more work into the arms, because this, you're just kind of compensating, right? It's like, I can feel the difference. Can you guys see the difference? As I, press back this way versus the strong, right? It's a little more purposeful. So that's where we have to really watch out first. And if you need to start, you know, by just lifting those hips up and starting here, and then just working on you know, your downward dog might look like this with your knees nice and bent. So that way you feel that you have enough strength up here in your hands to work on this versus trying to worry about dropping those heels and having those hips super high, because that's a lot into the hamstrings. So this is also going to stretch our hamstrings as much as it's stretching our shoulders, right? And so, yes, you might see an ideal downward dog look like this, where you have the heels dropped, you have the hips high, and it's a V shape, but know that that's just a general guideline to where you want to go. It's creating hips high to the sky, your head low, creates a V shape. Whether you have your knees bent, it's still kind of a V shape, but your knees bent is going to create space for those hamstrings to eventually stretch out and bring those heels down without causing so much tension onto the back right away. So along with stretching our shoulders, we're stretching our hamstrings, and we're also stretching our calves by bringing those heels towards the mat. So again, notice if you're getting just fine of a stretch here into your calves and hamstrings, those knees bent, that's going to help over time create the space to start to lower and straighten out those legs. But no, if you instantly try to go there, it's like, oh God, this really is a lot. You know, it's going to be a lot right off the bat. So that's where we want to watch for those areas that we're compensating in by just kind of plopping back into this V, because we have to make a V shape. So the next part, which is pretty obvious, I think, we're strengthening our arms and we're strengthening our legs, right? So this is, again, I'm already feeling the heat. This is a good posture for warm up. And like I said, we want to avoid that sinking into the shoulders, that sinking into the armpits. So whether it's staying forward like this and letting those armpits just kind of, or the shoulders sink down, that's going to be a lot more work because you're kinking your neck forward. And so really press the palms, chest towards those thighs, head is going to be nice and relaxed. We don't ever want this tense neck. We don't ever want to be doing that in our downward dog. So just let that head relax. Neck is nice and loose. And then by pressing your palms, pressing your chest towards the thighs, the hips just naturally lift. And then that's where you can find this bend in the knees as you need, and then lower those heels down as you need, right? So we have to watch for that dumping into the shoulders, and also watch for the wrists, because this is a lot of weight onto our wrists. And so those that have wrist issues, you can play with doing your fists in a downward dog. I know that doesn't bother some people, and I can do it just fine. But again, it's one of those where you have to be careful. But if you're coming from your plank, from your downward dog, and want to shift back this way, and then maybe you find this, or maybe even to take the weight totally off the wrist, you drop down into your forearm plank, Or if you're coming from this forearm plank, excuse me, you drop back into your forearm dolphin, right? Your forearm downward dog. But this is a lot of work into the shoulders. So you're putting more weight kind of up into this aspect versus using all of your arm, right? So what you need to be aware here, if you drop down, is it's going to be a lot of work. We want to press into the elbows and still try to lift out of those shoulders. We don't want to be doing that, right? Because that's a lot. So it's going to be work to have to lift ourselves out of the shoulder, but that's going to save our back so that we're not destroying our back by letting it dump. And then from here, we want to avoid the neck kind of kinking all the way forward. So just kind of let your gaze drop between the elbows, right? So from there, those are your options as far as some ways to play with your downward dog, depending on what works for your body. Let's see. And the last thing I want to say in terms of cautions, and that can go either way from if you're doing your forearm dog or your regular downward dog, is completely like, and it comes with dumping into the shoulders, is really arching the back. So that's, you want to keep your back nice and straight spine from the head all the way down to the tailbone. And that's going to come from, like I said, allowing yourself to press into those palms, pull those elbow pits together, shoulders round away from the ears, keep your strength into the upper body so that we can press and see how it's a little straight line from the head to the tailbone versus that where it kind of creates a curve, right? So that, I think, covers it for your downward dog breakdown. Does anyone have any questions about any of that? No? Great. No? Oh, great, cool. So what I would love to do is have you guys come up into your downward dogs, whichever variation that's going to be. And I'll go ahead and cue you to get up into them from your tabletop. But then what I'd love to do is to come around and kind of make some hands-on adjustments to help just kind of see how that might help deepen this posture for you, how it might, again, help pinpoint those little areas that you're not realizing you might be compensating in. And so we'll do that next, and then we'll get into a little bit of flow with our downward dog. So finding your tabletop here, we're going to curl under those toes, start to lift the knees, and then press the hips high and back. Find your downward dog. Nice job, guys. Awesome. So again, bending the knees as much as we need here. So press out the shoulders a little bit, or yeah, like round those shoulders out away from the ears a little. Yeah, there we go. Because we're still kind of have a sinking there. Yeah, there you go. Nice job. Nice job. Just keep breathing here, guys. Nice. There you go. Yeah. How are your hamstrings, Polly? Okay. Okay. Nice job. Nice job. Beautiful work, guys. Maybe shake your head out. Yes. And no. Just notice how we're feeling here. If we're arching into the back, if we're tense into the neck, if we're tight into the hamstrings, bend the knees. Find one more breath here in your downward dog. And then exhale. Let's go ahead and drop those knees down to the mat. Let the tops of the feet go flat. We're going to keep our knees, or excuse me, our hips stacked under. We're going to keep our hips stacked over the knees here. Stay in our tabletop. Pick up your right hand, lift it high to the sky in your inhale. And then exhale, weave it underneath your left armpit. And just drop that elbow down. Let your left elbow just bend there as you relax your head down to the mat, that right shoulder to the mat. You can always take a block and place it underneath that right shoulder to bring the floor a little closer to you if that feels better. And then you have your option here to keep your left hand where it is, or maybe reach your left hand forward, bringing it straight out towards the front of your mat. And then check in with the left elbow, try to bring, or left shoulder, try to bring that towards the mat, squaring your shoulders towards the mat. Take your next inhale as you press into, or bring that left palm back underneath the shoulder, press into it, lift yourself up and release your right arm, give it a shake, and then release it down to your tabletop. Palms stacked underneath the shoulders. We'll inhale, lift left hand high, switch sides, and then exhale, weave it underneath. Drop that left shoulder down, bend into the right elbow, and just allow your head and shoulder to drop down to the mat. Threading our needle here. Maybe you take that block underneath the left shoulder if you did so on the other side to bring the floor a little closer to you. Maybe like to reach your right hand out long and straight towards the front of the mat. And then check in with that right shoulder, bring it back towards the mat, squaring shoulders towards the mat. And then let's bring our right hand back underneath our right shoulder so we can press and lift ourselves up. Reach the left hand, maybe give it a shake to release it. Awesome. All right. We're going to find our next plank, or excuse me, our next core exercise, which does incorporate a little planking. So we're going to curl under our toes. Next inhale, lift the knees, and then exhale, press your hips back. Downward facing dog. Yeah, so find that downward dog, let your head relax. Maybe you want to bend one knee and the other here. Just give your downward dog a little movement. And then let's bring our feet about a fist width distance apart. Nice and strong into the core here. Slower than you want to go. Start to roll the spine forward so that we stack into our plank pose from our down dog. So just roll yourself forward here. If you need to adjust your hands, yeah. Holding strong into your plank. If you need to drop the knees, that's totally fine. And then let's see if we can press those hips high as we press into the palms to lift those hips high back into your downward dog. Let your head drop, press your chest back towards your thighs. Nice job. Shake that head out. Find 2 more of those. As we inhale, start to roll yourself forward. So come up onto those toes and really round through the shoulders. Roll forward into your plank pose. Hold breath, 1 breath. And then press in those palms. See if you can lift those hips high. Press your chest back towards the thighs. Head is heavy. Downward dog. Nice job, guys. Last time here. Inhale as we lift on high into our toes. Start to roll ourselves forward. Bringing our hips in line with our heels and shoulders. Nice strong plank pose. Hold 3, 2, 1. We'll press up back into our downward dog. Hips high. Let your head relax. Maybe bend one knee and the other. Maybe we're feeling that quote unquote rest pose. But we'll go ahead and take our gaze up towards the top of your mat. When you're ready, start to walk your feet up to find a forward fold. The top of your mat, let your head relax down over your thighs, chest folds. And then press into both, or excuse me, walk those feet together and press into all 4 corners. As we inhale, circle sweep, hands reach up high. Optional back bend here as you open up those elbows 90 degrees. Gaze up, lean back, squeeze into the shoulder blades, open through the chest. Inhale, reach those hands high. As we exhale, palms to heart center. Nice job. Release those hands down by your side, finding your Tadasana mountain pose. So I'm going to hold off on showing you those 2 options that deepen our chaturanga until next week, because we're going to review all those options anyways. And I want to make sure and get a little flow in so we can wait on those challenging options next week. So for now, we'll just find one flow through of whatever modification that you found is going to work best for you and that you found so far in our series. So let's start in our mountain pose, arms on down beside you, gaze forward, tuck that navel towards the spine. Again, squeeze those inner thighs together, strong core, flat back as you lengthen up from the torso. Next inhale, circle sweep, hands reach high. As we exhale, palms to heart center, bend in the knees as we hinge at the hips and fold, hands towards the mat. Let your head drop, hips lift high as we find our forward fold. Next inhale, bend into the knees, lift your chest halfway, nice strong into the arms, or rest those hands onto your shins. Exhale, go ahead and drop your hands towards the mat, walk your feet back, find your plank pose. your variation of a plank, whether it's full plank, dropping the knees into your modified plank, or finding your scorpion, or excuse me, your forearm plank, forearms down onto the mat. Holding plank here, and then inhale, hinge forward onto those toes as we bend those elbows, 90 degrees, squeeze them into the shoulder blades, slower halfway. Inhale, lift the chest through, find your upward facing dog, your baby cobra, your scorpion, whichever variation here of your back strengthening. Lift the crown of the head high, and then exhale, roll over those toes, press the hips high and back, downward facing dog. Nice job, walk it out, right and left. We'll have our feet together here in our downward facing dogs. We inhale, right toes reach up high. And then bend the knee, find your scorpion dog, let the right heel drop towards the bum, knee bends up high to the sky as we open up the hip, keep our shoulders square towards the mat. Inhale, right leg reaches high. And then exhale, bend the knee in towards the chest. See if you can step it through to the top of your mat. Make sure you have a block close by you. We're gonna place that out in front of that right foot on its end. And then from here, we'll go ahead and inhale, rise up, drop that back heel, open up to warrior two. So arms open up to a T. We're gonna bend into that front knee, pressing into the knife edge of your back foot, gaze over the right fingertips, and settle into your warrior two. Nice job. And then from here, go ahead and reach out through those right fingertips, drop your right hand towards that block. See if you can step your toes in and lift that back foot up, keeping your hips stacked and open to the side as we stack the arms into a T, or half moon. Gaze either down towards the mat, or maybe you take your gaze up towards the sky. Try to stack the hips open and stack the shoulders on top of each other, finding your balance here into that right standing leg. And then find a bend into that right knee as we slowly start to drop the left foot back down. Find our warrior two. And then reach right hand high to the sky, left hand goes down that left leg, reverse your warrior. Stretching through that right side, keep your bend into the front knee. Big inhale. And then exhale, cartwheel the hands down to the mat. Frame that right foot. Pop high into those left toes and drop the left knee down. Great place for that padding underneath the knee. And then go ahead and grab for both of your blocks as we bring those inside of the right foot and walk our right foot out to the right side. And walk those right toes up and out as far as we can so the knee isn't jutting out over the toes. And then start to settle the hips forward here, using your block so that we can create space first. And then when you're ready, just allow those hips to drop forward. Left leg nice and long behind you. Monica, can you walk that foot out even so the knee isn't jutting out over the toes? Can you walk it forward? Yeah, there you go. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. And then if you'd like, you can drop down onto the forearms or maybe onto the floor, whatever feels good here to allow your head and chest to relax. Just finding a hip stretch here. If we need to stay up onto the blocks, that's totally fine. Just allowing those hips to sink forward. Our blocks are a great way to create space there to find depth, staying high. And then Polly, I want to let you know it's 9:36. I know. So, but yeah, I want to get you into at least a little stretching. That's where I was like, let me see if I can speed this up a little bit. Yeah. So if you're on those forearms, start to lift yourself back up. We'll walk our right foot to the center of our mat. So bring those hips back so you can make space to walk that right foot to center. So great having you here, Polly. So great. Do you want me to send you the recording? Yeah, so you can get the last part of this? Yeah, of course. So we'll find our low lunge here with our hands on our blocks as we inhale, reach the hands high. And then exhale, twist right hand back, left hand forward. So just finding a twist here into our low lunge. So we find that deep bend into the front knee and twist our right hand back. Arms into a T, maybe you gaze back to deepen. We'll inhale, reach both hands high. And then exhale, drop the hands down to the mat. So move those blocks off to the side here. You have your option to either just walk your foot out and come into a tabletop, or you can press into the palms, curl under your toes, and see if you can lift your right leg back into your three-legged dog. So if you came into your tabletop, just meet us in our downward dog. We'll all meet, both feet on the mat, maybe shimmy out your hips, right and left. Oh, and Polly, did you happen to leave that card? Okay, thank you. Did you get a picture or get your, okay, good. Okay. So in our downward dog here, we'll bring our feet about fist width distance, hips high, head relaxed. Make sure we're not dumping into the shoulders or dumping our, bye Polly. Make sure we're not dumping our shoulders into the armpits. When we're ready here, big inhale, lift the left toes high to the sky, three-legged dog. And then bend the knee, let the heel drop to the bum. Find your scorpion dog. Let the knee lift high to the sky as we open that hip up. Keep your weight even into the palms. Inhale, left leg reaches high, and then exhale, bend the knee in towards the chest. Step it through the top of your mat. Drop your back heel down. Let's place a block out in front of that left foot. We'll inhale, reach up high, and then exhale, open up wide. Drop that back heel. Find our warrior two. Deep bend into that front knee. Arms are out into a T. Gaze over the left fingertips. Pressing into the knife edge of your right foot. Nice and strong here, warrior two. And then take a gaze down to your block here as we reach out with those left fingertips. Drop your hand down to your block and see if you can walk those right toes to lift up and find your half moon. So we're going to try to stack our hips, stack our shoulders, arms into a T. Gaze wherever's comfortable on the neck here. Strong standing legs, so try not to hyperextend that knee and lock it out. Keep a micro bend. And then see if you can flex into that right foot. See if that helps keep a nice strong leg there, line from the heel to the hip, all the way to the head. And then check in with your belly button, suck it in towards the spine, nice strong core. Helping with your core to lower down, right foot slowly lowers to the mat. We lift back up to our warrior two. Arms out to a T, deep bend in that front knee. Flip the front palm, inhale, reach it high to the sky. Right hand goes down your back leg. Stay stay deep into that front knee, into the bend. We don't want to lose that here in a reverse warrior. Reach those left fingertips. Then on your exhale, cartwheel the hands down. Frame your left foot as you pop high into the right toes. Drop your right knee down. We'll grab for our blocks. Bring those inside of our left foot. And let's walk the left foot out to the side. And then walk it slightly forward here so that the knees aren't jutting out in front of the toes. Use your blocks to help stay lifted, creating space so that we can drop those hips forward when we're ready here. Right leg is long behind you. And then just find your variation of your low lizard here. Remember your breath. Maybe you like to drop onto the forearms using your blocks, or maybe down onto the floor. Just let your head and neck relax. If you're on your forearms, let's go ahead and lift up onto the palms. So you take those blocks so you can create some space to bring our hips back. Walk that left foot in towards center. So our hands are framing that left foot. We'll inhale, reach the hands up high to the sky. Find our low lunge as we sink into that front knee. And then exhale, twist left hand back, right hand forward. So finding a twist here towards that left knee as we keep our shoulders stacked over the hips. Reaching left hand back to help twist into the torso. Find length into the crown of the head as you inhale. Exhale, twist. We'll inhale, left hand reaches forward, both hands high. As we exhale, bring our palms to frame the left foot. And again, you have your option just to wiggle that left foot out and come into a tabletop so you can press into your downward dog, or find both palms onto the mat. So we curl under the back toes and lift that back knee. Press into the palms, round to the shoulders to lift your left leg high to the sky. three-legged dog. Maybe give it a shake. We'll meet both feet to the mat. Finding your downward dog here, press those hips high to the sky, head relaxes nice and heavy, again, avoiding the shoulders sinking into the armpits. Pull those elbow pits towards each other to bring the shoulders away from the ears. Chest presses towards your thighs. Just check in one last time with our downward dog. And then you have your option to flow here or stay in your downward dog. We'll inhale, hinge forward, find your plank pose, your variation. Slowly on your exhale, start to bend the elbows, squeeze them in tight, lower halfway, whether you dropped your knees or not. Inhale, scoop that chest forward, tops of the feet flat, lift the crown of the head tall, baby cobra, upward facing dog. Exhale, roll over the toes, find your downward facing dog, pressing hips high to the sky, let your head relax, chest press towards the thighs. Nice job, guys. Inhale, come high into the toes, bend the knees, and then step it forward or a few steps to a forward fold. Relax the forehead towards the shins, hips high. Plant into all four corners of the feet as we inhale, circle sweep, hands reach up high. Exhale, optional back bend, elbows open, 90 degrees, gaze up, lean back, squeeze those shoulder blades. Inhale, reach those hands high. Exhale, palms to heart center. Nice job, guys. We'll inhale, circle sweep, make our way down to the mat. As we exhale, palms to heart center, hinge at the hips, forward fold. Inhale, find a halfway lift, nice strong flat back, strong core. Exhale, plant the palms towards the mat and just step one foot back and then the other to settle the knees down to the mat. No specific way here. We'll shift our feet off to the side, bring our hips down and settle here to a seat on our hips with our knees bent, feet planted. We'll grab from underneath the thighs and then slowly start to lower down onto your back. Let's walk those walk those feet in towards the hips, bend the knees so our feet are hip width distance. Arms relax long down beside you, palms face down. And then reach your fingertips towards those heels to help scooch the shoulders away from the ears. Exhale everything out. And then inhale, press into the feet as you press into the forearms all the way to the shoulders. Lift those hips up high to the sky. Squeeze into the glutes, the inner thighs as you find your bridge pose. So creating a strong base from the shoulders all the way to the fingertips using your full forearm. Both feet press into the mat as we lift a little higher here. Check in with those knees. Are they falling out to the side? Squeeze into those inner thighs. Bring them a little closer. Lift a little higher. 3, 2, 1. Gently let your hips drop towards the mat. And if you'd like, let your knees rock right and left. A little windshield wiper action. And then you can find your center here as you start to pick one knee up towards the chest and then the other, giving them a squeeze in. Maybe you'd like to roll out your lower back to the right and to the left. And then finding your center here, let's go ahead and release our feet up towards the ceiling, our legs up our invisible wall. Arms can just relax beside you. Maybe you even close your eyes here as we start to settle in for our final postures. Maybe you like to circle out your ankles right and left if that feels good. Wiggle the toes. And bend the knees here as much as feels natural. Just let your legs step overhead, noticing how the blood flow in the opposite direction feels for once. And then when you're ready here, start to bend the knees in towards the chest. Squeeze those knees in towards the chest. Really wrap your arms around the knees, giving yourself the biggest hug that you can. And then on your exhale, release, full body stretch. Reach the fingers long, reach the toes long, give everything a wiggle. Take any last little movement that you feel called to take here before settling down into your final Shavasana. The arms long down beside you, legs long and heavy into the mat. The feet just relax and splay out to the sides. And close your eyes. Just allow yourself this time for some stillness. To not have to be anywhere, to not have to do anything in this moment here. Just allow your breath to guide you through this space. Start to bring awareness to the heart center of your chest. Noticing here a flicker of light. This light is the light of the highest version of yourself. When you step on your mat, you cultivate and fuel this light. Each time you make yourself a priority, you set boundaries, you express your needs, you heal, you grow. So creating a practice such as this here today, bring your awareness to this light and the energy that you created here on your mat today. As you feel this light get a little bigger and brighter with each breath, breathe into this space, bringing forth, calling forth whatever energy that you seek for today. Maybe that's motivation, compassion, strength, rest, balance. As you breathe into this space, feel this energy start to awaken within the body. Feeling this light get a little brighter, a little bigger, and feeling this energy start to radiate throughout the body, from the tip of the head all the way to the toes and the fingertips. Maybe you feel this energy manifest through wiggling the fingertips and wiggling the toes, starting to awaken it within the body. Bring your senses back into this room. And no rush here as you breathe into this space, calling forth this energy. Take whatever movement helps awaken the body and prepare you for whatever comes next, feeling more capable with each breath. Maybe you reach the arms long overhead and reach the toes long back into a full body stretch. Maybe we hug the knees in towards the chest. Give ourselves another big hug. Whatever feels good here. Take your time. And then when you're ready, you can roll to your favorite side to find a fetal position, using your arm as a pillow, knees slightly tucked in towards your chest. Just one more moment to say thank you to yourself for showing up today. And then no rush at all. You can press up into an easy seat. So reach the crown of the head tall, shoulders down and back. We can end with our hands stacked on top of our heart, maybe finding a palms per center. And with your eyes closed here, let's come back to your intention that you set earlier, whether it changed, how it evolved throughout your practice, whether it showed up or didn't here. As you take your next inhale, breathe in this intention, honor it for whatever it was. And then exhale, release any expectations surrounding how it may continue to serve you today. One more breath, sealing this in. Big inhale. And exhale, let it go. The light within each of you shines so brightly as I see it also within me. But today I'm here honoring all that is you, your light. Thank you so much for being here. It was such an honor. Namaste. Thank you guys, as always. Really great class. Thank you. Always great energy, you guys. That's why I'm like, just keep it up. And your grow work, before I forget, for this week's posture for our downward dog. If you come to a yoga class, or if you get in a yoga class in, see if you can work your downward dog in at the very beginning as just kind of a warm up to get your heart rate going. And again, just keeping in mind those little cautions we talked about. And if you don't I know it's the holidays, so if you don't get in a yoga practice or can get in, just see if you can do a downward dog, at the start of your morning. Just get out of bed and get into your downward dog and just let your heart rate kind of get going and get your energy up. Because I know, getting out of bed and then trying to get going can take a little bit. But if you get in that downward dog, all of a sudden that's kicking your nervous system to all right, it's time to get up, it's time to go. So see how that works. And I forgot to check it on last week's. Did we do any planking throughout class or? Oh, that's totally fine. Planks are always good to do. So if you didn't get it in last week, then. Okay, yeah, no worries. There's plenty of time to. And even if you don't get it in, we still got, good 2 weeks till, or a week and a half till our 108. It's gonna be 2 hours. The class is posted so you can sign up for it. I am asking that you pay just $10 or I think $12, $10 or $12 just for that extra hour. But the goal is that we're not going to try to get all 108. I mean, that's we're going to count towards that, but it's not like I'm going to be all right, guys, I'm not going to be drill sergeant in here making you try to hit 108. It's just to get through the experience, or not get through the experience, try out the experience of, all right, let's do something challenging, 108 sun salutations or a lot of sun salutations. Yeah. So know that I have no intention to reach 108, but cool. If we get there, then awesome. But yeah, I'm going to plan in breaks, and yeah, we're going to make it very attainable. So yeah. Any questions about anything? Exactly. We're working on the form. That's what I don't want to compensate the form just to get 108 in, that's not the goal. So if you have any questions, of course, feel free to ask. You can shoot me a text in the meantime if you're going over the replays, or if you're catching up on classes, or if you're practicing your stuff and you can't, oh crap, I can't really remember what she said about this. I know I needed to watch this. Just let me know. And for people joining online, you can comment underneath the video if you watch it online on replay. So awesome. Next week, we will review and put it all together and start to really put those sun salutations and go through all the modifications so we can do them in full form and have a good review. So awesome. Thanks, guys. That's a bit. I know that makes me I don't know. I'm yeah. Well, that's it. Habits, good and bad habits are formed from just consistency of, so it's if you don't realize it's not a good habit, or it's not good for you, it's a bad habit. I don't like saying bad habits, but it's if it's a bad habit, you don't realize it because unless someone points it out, it's a bad habit, unless it's made known. So